Hi, I'm Sean Merritt, National Commander, United States Volunteer Rangers. Now, the USVR, one of our main focuses is preparedness, both on the individual, family, and local level, community level. Now, one of the first things that people think about when they think about preparedness is how much food do I need to prepare for? How much food do I have to store? And to be honest with you, that's a tough question. For most of us, we're not sure. You have to pick a goal in order to be able to make a good decision on how much food you're going to need. So, the best way to start out, before you go out and you buy anything, is to take out a pad and paper. And you want to write down everything you eat for a week. And this does two things. One, it lets you know exactly what you eat and what you prefer to eat. And the other thing it does is let you know if you're eating a lot of junk food. But what it tells you is if I'm going to eat, I know I eat a certain amount of certain foods every day, or certain foods a lot. I know that those are foods I like. So what you do is you prepare by buying those foods, but in forms that will allow you to store them for long periods of time. So let's get started on the basics. I'm not going to show you freeze dried. I'm not going to show you anything else. But if you know you want to bulk up on food because you know, oh my gosh, the sky is falling and I need to have this food now. What do I do to get a large quantity of food that will give me what I need to survive in a long-term situation? And I don't have a lot of time, or I just need stuff to bulk up whatever I'm buying. Well, let's get started. There are key essentials that everyone should have in their basic storage, food storage thing, stockpile, as it were. And these 5 things will create a regular meal for you, and a whole meal for you. Are you going to get sick of this? Absolutely, you're going to get sick of it. But this is food that'll get you by. If you're planning and preparing, and you have other food, say food from cans or freeze dried or whatever, the foods that I'm showing you will bulk up those foods and will enhance those foods. There are a number of books that I would recommend that you pick up as part of your library that will expand on this considerably. Excuse me, this is terrible. So the first thing that most people do, and if you have people with diabetes and stuff like that in the house, this is not the best stuff, but most people start out with rice. Rice is a starch. Rice is a carbohydrate. It gives you lots and lots of energy when you're moving around a lot. And bear in mind, whatever you're buying, you're not buying diet food. You don't want to be on a diet during a disaster. You're going to be doing a lot of things. You're going to be expending a lot more calories than you would in a given day than you do in your modern life. The average person does not expend a lot of calories in their modern life. We live a more sedentary lifestyle. And even those of us who are up on our feet all day long probably don't expend the amount of calories that, say, someone that was settling the United States back in the early 1800s would have. So you start out with the rice. Now you can buy rice in bulk, and the best way to do that is to buy it in bulk. This size here, which is more for demonstration purposes, is how many pounds is this? It's a 5-pound bag of rice, but you can get 25 and 50-pound bags of rice for as low as $15. And a 50-pound bag of rice, let me tell you, will go a long way, especially if you're smart about it. Now, we'll go through in another video the basics of storing this food for long term. But there are ways using 5-gallon buckets and so on that will help you store this. But start out with your white rice. Brown rice is better for you, but white rice lasts longer. Again, we're not in a diet. We're trying to survive. The next thing you want to grab is your beans. Now, I don't have a bag of beans because I take the bag of the beans out of the bag and I store them in old pop bottles. They're a little easier to dole out, and it's a much more secure method. You see this is all sucked in. It's because that's actually, like, I've pulled most of the air out of there. There's actual O2 absorbers inside here that have sucked most of the air out. They're little ones when I stuck them in there, and they seem to have done some of the work. These are black beans. Now, I like these. I like the taste of these better than some of the other ones. But pretty much the black beans, Great Northerns, and the red kidney beans are all going to be ones that are going to give you lots of starch and lots of protein. Now, I'll tell you, as much as beans are a wonderful protein source, they're not as good as meat. Obviously, if you can, you should augment with game or livestock. You know, a good .22 caliber rifle will collect up enough meat for the table when augmented with these things to make things much more comfortable for you. But beans are a wonderful source of protein, and when combined with rice, are a really good meal, especially when you add the next thing. Tomato sauce or tomato juice. I don't have any tomato juice handy. I'd have to dig into my own preps to get the tomato juice out. It doesn't last as long. You got to watch this. You got to rotate it. But tomato sauce or tomato juice, you can get it in number 10 cans. You can get it in smaller cans. Will last a good 2 years. That combined with your rice and your beans makes an even better meal. Now let's get into the next thing you want. Vegetable oil, corn oil, or even coconut oil. Any of these oils are going to be good. I prefer extra virgin olive oil, but you can buy this in large quantity. But make sure you get the actual vegetable oil. The canola oil, it goes rancid faster. I find that the vegetable oil is probably the longest lasting. You can store it for a good long time. You can also store it if you buy Crisco. It stores even better because it's in a more solidified form. Honey. This stuff has more uses than I can shake a stick at. Honey will you can put it on wounds to create an area that is sterile, because honey is naturally sterile. It lasts forever. And when I tell you it lasts forever, they pulled honey out of the Great Pyramids that was stored since whenever they were closed up, and it was still edible. So it's one of those things you can buy, and you know it's there. This is one from my cabinet. We have larger quantities in other places, but this is a good one for you, and a good size to start out with. You can buy a bunch of these, you know. Be very careful though. There's another option out there, and you'll see them at the dollar store. It's the premium blended honey flavored syrups. Now, basically what this is high fructose corn syrup with honey flavoring in it. It's Mrs. Butterworth's, but instead of having it with maple syrup in it, it's got honey in it. And it doesn't do all of the things that honey can do. And if you want to look on the internet as to all of the things that honey can do, especially local honey local to you, you're going to find that there's a lot of things you want. You're going to want a lot of honey in the house after you read all that stuff. But stay away from these little bears that actually, you got to read the label. Make sure you read. It says actual pure clover or pure honey, okay? And stay away from this blended honey product. Just get rid of it. You don't want it. It doesn't even taste good. Another one, the last but not least, is non-fat dry milk. Some of us, when we were kids, grew up drinking this stuff. It's kind of bland. It tastes like skim milk when you mix it up. But there's a lot of other things you can do with it. You can add it to the rice, beans, and tomato sauce mixture, and it's good for you. It'll add a vitamin A and D to your diet, which is important because they fortify this, just like it says right here. You see it's fortified vitamin A and D. And that's kind of an important thing to think about, is that you're going to need those vitamins, and you're not going to be getting them from everything. So anything that you prep, if you can get a little bit of vitamin fortification, or you can actually just prep vitamins. But the dry milk you can make, and I just got done reading, there's a book out there that I highly recommend. It's called Making the Best of Basics. You can look it up. It's on Amazon. And they have recipes to take dry milk and make it into cottage cheese. You can make it into butter. You can make it into all kinds of things. So get that book. It's a really good book. It's pure knowledge, and it's awesome. You really highly recommend it. But understanding how to use all these things is important. Now, another option for butter is this stuff called Ghee. It's a clarified butter, and it stores a very long time. I don't even want the stuff it's clarified. It's very shelf stable, and don't look at the dates on these things because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just want you to buy more. But this is it's shelf stable, and it gives you a butter product. You can buy canned butter. It's expensive. It's well worth doing. But if you get your honey, your cooking oil, dry milk, beans, and your rice and tomato product, I will use that because it could be sauce, it could be juice. This right here will help you get through most of anything. And if you buy it in quantity, it'll bulk up any of the food you've got. As an aside, I'm a big fan, for protein purposes, I like Spam. Not everybody does. But I'm using this as an example of what not to do. As much as I like Spam, and I prep it, I have a quantity of Spam. My lady hates Spam. So if you don't like a food, don't prep that food. Don't buy 10 cases of Spam if you hate Spam. If you don't like eating a certain vegetable, like you don't like green beans or whatever, don't buy cans of green beans. The last thing you want to do in a very stressful situation is eat something you despise. As a final note, preparedness is a mindset. It isn't just a let's go out and buy things. Whatever you're doing with food, you need to understand that everything is a system. So if I buy the food, I have to cook the food. If I have to cook the food, then I have to eat the food. I need all of the things necessary to do these things. So when you're out there and you're buying all your prep food, remember that you also have to have all of the things that go with it. Obviously, some of the stuff's in your house. You already have spoons, forks, and knives. You may not have a reliable off-grid form of cooking. And in another video, we're going to go over some very basic off-grid cooking methods. But for now, I'm going to leave you with be prepared and see you on the trail. This is Sean Merritt and the United States Volunteer Rangers signing off.